It's so hot out. I was gonna make a cup of tea while I record this video, but I think I need to go find something a little more weather appropriate. Okay, these are the choices. I think Jake would get mad at me if I drank this. This is his last Rowdy Mermaid. This is his favorite kombucha ever. He's like literally obsessed. So I'm gonna drink this Health-Ade kombucha instead. Ooh, so good. Now that we've got the drink, let's get cozy. Just to give an overview of what I'm gonna be talking about in this video, because it might get a little bit rambly, I'm gonna be first kind of setting the stage and letting you guys know what's been going on just like in my life for the past 8 months. So I'll be talking about the house. After that, I'll talk about my job, what went down with that, and what I'm going to be doing next. So that brings me to where I am right now. I'm in an Airbnb in Colorado, about 5 minutes from the house that we're renovating. So to back way up, on September 10th, Jake and I closed on a house in Colorado in our honestly dream location. We love the location and the lot itself, but the house needs so much work. And what started out as just a few renovations quickly turned into like basically building a brand new house on top of this existing one. So what we're doing is completely redoing the first floor, mostly focusing on the kitchen and opening up some walls so that it's a little bit more open, and bringing the ceiling height up a foot too, to 9-foot ceilings downstairs so it doesn't feel so squished, which makes the house feel older and just less light and bright. We are building a whole new story upstairs. So the house is currently a ranch and we're adding a whole new floor to it. And so it's gonna have total, technically 5 bedrooms. One will be used as an office downstairs. So 4 bedrooms upstairs and 2 bathrooms. So we're really maximizing the space, like that lot, as much as we can, because we wanna be in this house as long as possible. We wanna like raise a family in this house. So it's a lot to go through that just by itself, you know, without any hiccups and you know, things like that, because it's like a big decision to decide where you want to put down roots, not just what city, but physically what house. And so we are so lucky to be able to take this piece of land, this house that already exists, and really build it into something that is our dream home to raise a family in. But with that comes like a lot of pressure and a lot of decisions and a lot of strain on our relationship, honestly. Like we have to be constantly working to get on the same page with what we want. We're both very opinionated. We both, you know, really care about this and want to make it the best for our family. So anyway, that's already kind of just in the background of what's been going on in my life, is like that whole project is taking a lot from us, like mentally, emotionally, physically. And so everything that's been happening on top of that has been just that much more overwhelming. Real quick before we dive in, I want to take a minute to talk about our sponsor for this portion of the video, which is Be Usable Analytics. Because I've been going through some changes with my job, I wanted to revisit my website and just get a feel for how things were doing. I literally had not looked at any data for my site in months, so BA was a really good option for me because A, it's free, and B, it starts very high level, very visual, and then lets you get deeper into the numbers. I love that because other tools like Google Analytics can be a little overwhelming for designers who are a little newer to looking at data. One of the features I really like and feel like I haven't seen in other tools is the journey report. You can see in a super visual way how users got to what page, and you can kind of trace their path using these colors and animations. Through this, you can also see the rollback and refresh rates, which are a great way to see where your design maybe doesn't match up with users' expectations. You can also use the grouping feature within the journey report to separate users in a strategic way and start to notice patterns. So I might group users who are interested in looking at my work, and then users who are interested in learning from my blog or resource section. So I can get a little more granular with these analytics based on what I'm trying to learn. After looking at the big picture with BA, you can also run a detailed in-page analysis with Be Usable to find ways to improve your site. BA is totally free, and so I'll leave a link in the description box below if you want to try it out. And huge thanks to Be Usable for supporting my channel. So with the house project, it was taking a long time to get started. Our contractor just, basically had a bunch of projects going on that he was really behind on. So he couldn't start on ours for months and months past when he said he was gonna start. So they finally started in May, so just last month. And obviously to add another story to our house, they had to take the roof off. And they took the roof off. This was mid-May, and 2 days later we see on the news and the weather that there's going to be a snowstorm. And this is obviously a late snowstorm for Colorado, but these do happen. Like 3 years in a row now we've had one last snowstorm in May. And I'm not just talking about like flurrying, I'm talking about like inches and inches of snow. We got like, I think 6 to 8 inches. And so we saw that this was coming, Jake and I, and we texted our contractor and said, hey, like, you guys are gonna cover the house, right? Like, it's about to snow in a couple days. And our contractor texted us back like, yeah, we'll cover the house if we need to. And we just thought that was kind of funny. Like, if we need to, like, you obviously need to, it's about to dump snow on the house. And so they didn't cover the house. Jake was out of town. It was just me here. That's another thing. Jake was getting a pretty major surgery, intestinal surgery. I won't go into like all of those details because that's his health journey. He literally couldn't walk for a few days. He had this surgery in Cleveland, so I had to fly to Cleveland to take care of him for a while. And then I had to come back and keep, working at my job and keep an eye on the house. So that was kind of happening at the same time as all of this stuff. So anyway, this was like 2 days before, or 1 day before Jake was coming back, flying back to Colorado from Cleveland from getting his surgery. And it dumps snow into our house. I go over to check on it, and I'll post a video here. I posted it on Instagram. This is what the inside of my house looks like. 6 inches of snow inside my house. In Colorado, if you don't know, usually when it snows, it melts really fast afterwards because it's super sunny here, especially in May. The weather's kind of just crazy. So for the next 48 hours, that heavy snow melted into our floors, these hardwood floors that I planned on salvaging, through our subfloor, and started raining into the basement where we had a bunch of our belongings, luckily covered by a tarp. So I go and pick up Jake from the airport the next day. He still is walking with a cane, and he can't lift anything. He can't even lift his backpack, let alone stuff in our basement. So, it's 10:30 at night, it's pitch black. We obviously don't have electricity in our house. And so it's really dark, and I'm just like bringing our things one by one up from the basement and putting them in the garage where they'll be more safe from the water damage. And all the while our contractor is like nowhere to be found. He is totally ghosting us. All of this is going on. We're trying to save our stuff, and we just know that these floors are totally ruined, and the basement is getting totally ruined. We had just spent thousands of dollars doing some water mitigation work in the basement to try to keep this from happening. And so we're just so upset, and we're worried that our contractor is like just literally gonna skip town because he knows that he messed up so bad. Luckily, a few days later, he did, reach out. He didn't take any responsibility for what happened. He was kind of like, well, I really thought the guys would have covered the roof better or covered the floors better. And I'm like, isn't it your job to make sure that they covered the floors or the roof or whatever they're supposed to do to keep our house safe? Like, that's your job. So we're working with several different insurance companies to see what's going to be covered. We still don't know exactly how much we're going to get coverage for. I made a whole video like with a voiceover and of what was happening because I was documenting everything. And I have text messages with our contractor and all of that stuff. And so I made this whole video and sent it to the insurance company, and they said the video helped a ton and that we're definitely going to get coverage. They just need to figure out how much. Yeah, that's been going on sort of in the background as well. All of this BS with our house. And it's just difficult because we're staying in this Airbnb with my mom and her boyfriend, and we're so lucky to be able to do that. She is fully paying for us to stay with them. And so we're so fortunate, but at the same time, we don't have our own space, and neither does my mom, you know? And so it's just not the best situation. We get along so well with them, and you know, like I said, I feel really grateful that that's an option, but we've been living with them for 8 months, and this project has just been drawn out. And so we're just so ready to be able to move into our house, and we have a long ways to go. The contractor is thinking October, and even that I'm skeptical of. Okay, so that's kind of what's going on with the house. And that has honestly been taking up most of my energy lately. Both me and Jake, like I said, we just, you know, we are constantly having to make these decisions, work through these problems together, and it's really tested us in our relationship, especially not being in our own space and that kind of thing. So we're working through it, even though it's not easy. I just know it's going to be worth it in the end. But now I'm sure you're also curious about my job, because if you read the title of this video, you know that I recently quit my job. Today is Saturday, so it's actually day 1 of unemployment. And so yeah, I just want to talk a little bit about why I came to that decision, you know, what happened. So I guess I'll start back in, I think, March. My company laid off 40 people. 2 of those people were the closest people to me on my team, like the people that I worked with the absolute most by far. And it was one designer and our product manager. That really shook things up. And first of all, I just felt horrible for, you know, my friend who was let go, and it just seemed really out of the blue, and so many people were let go. Like, my company right now is only like almost 100 people, and so to let go 40 people was a lot. Like, that's a big percentage. So it was a little concerning, and it honestly just ruined the vibe of the company. Like, it just put kind of a really sour taste in everyone's mouth. Like, just nothing was really the same after that, at least for me. I can only speak for my personal experience, but it just didn't feel the same after that happened. And so that's what happened first. And at first it was like, you know, I was obviously upset, and then, you know, a few weeks went by and my manager was sort of helping me through it, of course, and I started to get the hang of things again. I was definitely doing more work than I had been before, but, you know, it was manageable. And I kind of thought that it could be a good opportunity for me to go for senior product designer, because I was doing, you know, a good bit more work. I was taking on a lot more leadership responsibilities, and my manager had said that I was ready. You know, I was already kind of operating at that level of senior product designer. So, you know, I was kind of excited to take that opportunity to work towards a promotion. So that's what I was doing. And then just a few weeks after that, so maybe a month after the layoffs, more people from my team started quitting. So my manager left, and another product manager, like my design manager, not another product manager, but my like immediate manager who was sort of like mentoring me, he quit. And at the same time, one of our product managers and actually higher ups who's doing 2 jobs, a lot more people at the company, but those were the 2 on my team. Oh, and I forgot to mention that with the layoffs happening, it wasn't just the 2 people on my team who were fired, but also the head of product was fired. And she was one of the only women in leadership at my company. And so anyway, with all of these people gone, I felt like I was literally the only person working on my projects, which did not used to be the case. Like, not only was I the only designer, but I was actually the only person who understood what was happening with these projects on the product side. It was just too much work. It was just simply too much work. And I kept thinking in the back of my head, surely they're going to replace some of these people, right? And, you know, weeks are going by, I didn't really hear anything. Someone else on my team got promoted and I did not. And it just kind of other red flags that I will not talk about, started to pop up. And I just started feeling like, this is not what I signed up for. I loved my job for the first 6 months. Loved it. I loved who I was working with. I loved the mission, but all of that was just not really there anymore. And I just did not feel the same about my job. I kind of dreaded waking up and getting on calls in the morning. It felt like all I was doing was like hustling. Like I just kept feeling so rushed in everything that I was doing, and it did not feel good. I had so many more meetings than I used to, so I was still just a product designer. So my job was to do the designing, right? But I was spending so much time in meetings because we were down product managers, and we were just down people who understood the projects we were doing. Like I said, I was like one of the 2 people left. And so I was just responsible for doing so much. And so that was already a lot. And then we started this brand new project where I was the lead designer on the project. And because I hadn't gotten promoted, it just felt really odd that I had to take on so much extra work. And also, when my manager left, they left me with another responsibility on another team. So there were essentially 3 different jobs that I was doing. And I approached, people higher up at the company and asked if they were planning on hiring anyone. Because if not, I just didn't think that I could, that this was a good fit anymore. And it was very clear they were not hiring anyone, point blank. That was just not an option. And so that's when I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. There was a little bit of negotiating that happened, where they were trying to get me to stay. And ultimately, because they weren't going to hire anyone else, and I just felt like I was getting the runaround with this promotion, I just didn't feel like it was the right decision for me to stay. There were obviously still people left at the company that I really, really loved and loved working with and respected so much, but the cons started to really outweigh the pros. And so 2 weeks ago, after the long weekend, I officially put in my notice, and yesterday was my last day. And everyone keeps asking me if I feel relieved. I definitely feel relieved, but I also feel just very unsettled and kind of uncertain. I think it'll take me a while to feel that full sense of relief, because I'm still in the habit of checking Slack and checking my email. And I feel like I still work there, because for so long it was kind of 24/7 I was thinking about work, because there was just so much going on. And on top of the other stress that is happening in my life, it was just so much. I need to retrain my brain to not go to those places. Last night, I was just dreaming about work and problems with work and all of this stuff. And then I woke up and was like, oh yeah, I don't work there anymore. It's probably going to take me a while to kind of, I don't know, disconnect from that. But ultimately, I know that it was the right decision. And I know that there will be, better things on the horizon, and I'm very excited for that. But right now I'm definitely in an in-between phase. I thought about kind of disappearing from social media until I figured out what was next for me, exactly what I was doing next. But here I am. And just to be totally honest, I don't know exactly what I'm doing next. I know that I need to focus a lot of time on the house, because Jake's medical leave is about to end and he has to go back to work, and someone needs to be, managing this project and figuring out how we can, get it done within our budget is a lot of work. and just making all these little decisions and coordinating things and going and checking on things, because it's really important that you're checking up on your house when there are people working on it, because no one cares about your house as much as you do. Those people that are working on your house, it's their job. They don't really care. You have to go. I have to go and make sure that everything is, you know, going well. So that's what I'm going to be spending a lot of time doing. But I also have to make money, right? Like, that's important. And something that is really important to me is like cultivating a business. And that's something that I've kind of stepped away from in the past few years. If you don't know, before I even started my YouTube channel, I was a freelance brand designer. I had a business with my friend, and we did branding and web design for small businesses. And it was so much fun, and it's something that was a huge creative outlet for me that I've been missing, is doing that like graphic design work. And since I'm feeling so burnt out from product design and tech, that's what my brain is kind of gravitating towards, is the more creative side of my, you know, skill set, that graphic design side. And so that's something that I might kind of tap back into, is graphic design, and, you know, maybe cultivating my own business with that again. But I don't know for sure. I need to experiment a little bit. And there's so much that I'm passionate about within design. And I feel like I've been really pigeonholing myself into product design and tech for so long. I made it my goal to like be a product designer, and then it was a goal to get to senior product designer. And, you know, it's just like, why? I kind of am stepping back and wondering why I was so adamant about those goals, because I feel like a lot of it was just like ego driven, and like seeing what other people are doing and being like, oh yeah, I want to do that. Like, I want to conquer that milestone. But in reality, the life that I'm trying to build for myself is so much more like simple, and the things I want to spend my time on are more creative and more like actually like making things. Like, I don't know, like I used to do when I was a kid, like making things with my hands, like doing crafts, doing art projects. And like, those are the things that really make me happy. And I have not been giving myself the time and space to do those things for so long. And so I want to do that. Like, I want to explore what I can do with that, whether it be for a business or just as a hobby. You know, making things for my house and DIYing some things for my house, and making art, doing graphic design again, building, you know, brands just for fun or for clients, you know, redesigning things, you know, in a creative way that just sort of, you know, that just sort of flexes my creativity in ways that I have not done in a while, that I'm actually really passionate about. Like packaging design. Like, when I was in college, I knew I wanted to be a branding and packaging designer, and I never did anything with that. I definitely did stuff with branding, but I never dove into the world of packaging, and I want to do that. Like, I want to do the things that I've always wanted to do, as opposed to just like doing the things that are going to make me more money, or doing the things that I see other people doing. Like, I want to really get back to my roots and what I am passionate about and enjoy spending my time doing, and do more of that stuff. So with all of that said, I don't know, people are probably wondering what this channel is going to turn into, and I have no idea. I'm just going to be following, like I said, my kind of creative interests, and see where it leads me. So if that means that my view count is going to go way down, that I'm going to lose followers, or, you know, stay stagnant for a while, because most people here are interested in product design. If that's the case, then I have come to terms with the fact that that's okay. And I just need to like create and share about what I want to create and share about. And so that's what I'm going to be doing from now on. And if you want to stick around, that is fantastic, and I would love to have you. And if you don't want to stick around, that's totally fine too. If you're not interested in the things that I get into, it's no hard feelings there, and I get it. I completely get it. But I'm definitely going through a transition, and so yeah, if you're also going through a transition, I would love to hear about it, seriously, because sometimes I feel like I'm alone. And when I posted about this on my Instagram stories, I got so many messages from you guys saying you were in a similar position. So if you're open to sharing anything about that, feel free to do so in the comments or DM me on Instagram, because yeah, we're all here to support each other and make each other feel less alone. So thank you so much for listening to me ramble for the past, I don't know how many minutes. This is probably going to be a long one, so thanks for sticking with me. And yeah, I'm really excited for what's coming next. A little bit nervous, but very excited. And I'm going to be sharing everything. So yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.